Alright guys, so normally I don't really talk to anybody during this period of the day when I come into my room, certain room in my house, and I just sit there and relax. But I just recently made a post on my Facebook that's addressing something that I've really been thinking a lot about lately. And that is having some form of license to breed dogs. I think this is a must for the future. Because, there's so many dogs out there. And I mean dogs, not pit bulls as one breed of dog. I mean dogs. There's so many dogs out there that are just being mass produced at a rate that nobody can ever keep up with. Like, I applaud every shelter out there. I donate, and we are actually starting a formal shelter ourselves right now. Actually, we've been rescuing dogs for a little while now, so we are participating actively in that as well as giving my time and money to these organizations. So hats off to them, of course, all the time. But this is a problem that's never going to stop. It's just never going to stop. So as long as this is going on, we'll just keep seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's just a problem that will go on and on and on. So at what point do we step in and actually do something about it? And I think, how can we do something about it? And that was one of the first things that came to mind was, how can we help dogs? And it would be really giving licenses to certain people to breed certain types of breeds. And I really mean almost very few, just because then you can really have an eye on it, and it can be controlled, and it can really be done the right way. I'm not really the type of person that likes to say the word controlled, because I like everybody to, really want to express freedom and be free. But, when it comes to the point of health issues, like I said, not only mentally but physically as well, this is a problem, and this is something that we need to address, because what I've watched happen with this breed of dog, because like I said, I've been around before the dogs, we started getting into bigger dogs. I started with all, littler dogs. This is where I came from. I started with, German Shepherds, I mean, that's like where I started out this. So, I mean, something that I've noticed is this breed didn't really have any health issues prior to recently. Now you start to see, hip dysplasia, testing them for OFAs has become more common, things like that. Somebody's vacuuming, excuse me, I don't know if you can hear that, but the mic's shocking at me, so hopefully not. But okay, so where I was, sorry for the interruption, and where I was talking about that we haven't seen much health issues amongst at least this specific breed, and this is what's kind of opened my eyes to it as a whole. So don't think I'm talking about one breed at all right now, but obviously we all kind of start with something that grabs your heart, and obviously this breed of dog was something that I felt very close to, and I took to the next level. But I'm not talking about, this video is not about one breed of dog. This is about dogs in general. I'm just sharing my experience with you so you can understand how I came to this realization. So what I know is this breed early on, 12, 13 years ago, hip dysplasia, people would have been like, huh? That's something that was unheard of, just because it we'll go to a different video for this because I know everybody really wants to talk about this, but because this dog is obviously from the small dogs to the big dogs, obviously pit bull was always created, it was intended to be two breeds of dogs. I know all people that offends, but that's the way it is. So it's a dog that can go in different directions very easily. But years ago, there was no health issues. Now all of a sudden, you start seeing hip dysplasia. You start seeing more common problems with these dogs, heart problems, these different issues. And the reason why this happens is from uneducated breeding. It's from people taking, thinking they're going to do the best breeding by 6x this and 12x that and this. You don't realize every time you breed one of your favorite dogs into there, and you gotta know this. To all good, there's some bad. So you can't just over and over and over and over and over again, or you've also over and over and over again all of those problems that you slowly have to disperse and knock out by admitting to yourself that no dog is perfect, and you need to take other dogs in to change those traits that you'll start to get from line breeding. That's why breeding right there, just that little part could have complicated some people. It's just not for everybody. There's times when you breed in, times when you're supposed to breed out. You know, you're skipping generations. There is things you are looking for all the time. So with uneducated breeding comes a blast of health issues. And once it became popular, and I really watched it happen, you know, it became popular and every person wanted to breed dogs, is when I really started seeing these problems. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, like, you know, I mean, me personally, I've bred lots of dogs. I've had 2 dogs with health issues. I publicly say that to anybody. There's been 2 dogs that have had a problem, like a hip problem. Okay, so over years. Okay, so that's pretty good. And you know, it happens sometimes. It's the way it is. You know, and I do have pieces of newer blood, and this is actually part of what I mean. You know, through. Doesn't even matter through an education. If there's things out there that are being bred and touched and you don't know, it can affect everybody. And that's really what started to happen. Is it's more common now to see these problems because of how people have went about breeding these dogs. You know, another part of it is, you know, this is something that my wife and I go back and forth with, but, you know, I'm a very natural kind of person. So I believe, you know, a lot of the problem is people when like a runt or something is kept, you know, and the mom, listen, a mother will cull her puppies. I don't know if you've ever been around a dog having birth, but a mom will literally cull her puppies, which means the ones that are not going to survive, that there's some form of sickness that the dog sees that we can't, she will literally kill them off. And as humans, we want to stop that process, and we want to save those dogs and let them be raised, and then from there, who knows what happens. I mean, God, if you're going to do that, please fix that dog, or just that fix or spay any dog that mom was trying to get out of the litter, because there's something wrong with that dog, and the dog should not reproduce. That's one of the main things. So by that happening, you know, and all of a sudden a dog that may have been rejected by its actual parents is brought on, and it might have a characteristic that somebody thinks is super cool, and then therefore as humans we take it and we just go with it, and that's how we are. And now we've just taken something that by nature should have not existed, and we've taken it and now reproduced it, and now this problem will go on and on and on and on and on. And that's what's happening more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So that's what got me to thinking, you know, really what needs to be controlled is not who owns the dogs, because good luck, there's way too many people in the world. There's a load of breeders in the world too, but I think you could try to control that first before you're going to be able to control each individual person, because we all know, or I hope we all know at this point, but it is not the breed of dog, it is the owner of the dog. One more time. It is not the breed of dog, it is the owner of the dog. Properly raising your dog, very, very, very important. Okay? So, again, what this comes back to is controlling breeders, and that's what needs to happen. There should be certain people selected for certain types of breeds, and that's it. I mean, I know that the pit bull world, that's going to be a freaking challenge, because there's so many things that are, I mean, it makes my head spin. That's why the whole, like, okay, just to get this out of the way first, let me just explain to you why I don't get offended, but why I'll combat with you until the end of the earth. Because you say the word bully to me, it makes me think of a fat, lazy dog, and my dogs are not fat and lazy. If you need to come here to learn that, we can set that up. Band dogs to me are freaking ugly. And if you actually go look up a band dog, those are like direct mixes of some dogs. And please stop it, man. Like, just stop it. We know the past history of these dogs. I am not mixing fucking dogs. We will go over the selective breeding video to, I don't know why I really should give it away, but I'll help you understand how you can make something larger without introducing another breed of dog into it. You know, I can make a Chihuahua bigger if I really wanted to. It's just a process, and it takes years. That's the thing. Most people get in something 3-4 years, they think they're a freaking genius. You know, it takes years and years and years to create your own bloodline, which we have just started to establish. You'll notice it wasn't until recent years you started hearing me talk about DDK line, because prior to those years, I was just using other bloodlines to create the pieces that I needed, you know. And typically what they say is, you know, 4 generations creates a bloodline. You're that separated, you use that many pieces. I agree with that, and I disagree with that in a certain sense. I think really once you've passed the 3rd generation and you have great-great-grandparents in your bloodline, which I would call a bloodline, that's your own thing. You know, depending on if it's just been super heavy in one type of blood or super heavy in the other, then you could just be following somebody. But if you know anything about our bloodline of dogs, this bloodline has a little bit of everything in it. That's why you can't just call it one thing. You know, it's certain dogs might be, but the product of what those dogs have produced over the years is what we call DDK line. And anything, for the record, everything that I own is Dark Dynasty Canines. Whether I bought it elsewhere, it's Dark Dynasty Canines. I own it, and that's what I will call it. Just as I know there's a lot of confusion through different worlds of the pit bull world, but that's how I see it. If I bought it, I own it. I'm going to put my name on it. I'm not going to advertise somebody else on it. If they did the right thing in it, they're going to be in the pedigree, which will clearly be listed on my website as well. Sorry to come back to you in a different face, different outfit. But the SD card actually died when I was making that video a little while ago. But just to finish it up, basically what I was saying was, if I buy something, I own it. So obviously I'm gonna use my name, and it would be called Dark Dynasty Canines, so and so, whatever. But obviously anybody is gonna be listed and getting their credit where credit is due on the website underneath the parents. That's how we do it. A lot of people do it differently, but in my world, in the way that we've done it, I mean, that's how it goes, you know. And anybody knows me, I give all respect in the world to anybody's dog or any piece of anything that I've used. So that pretty much is that there. This video was really more about how I think the breeding world should be controlled, which obviously we all know, it's impossible. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty much probably impossible. But where there's a will, there's a way. And sometimes that matters, and I've got some ideas, so I'm going to try to see if I can't put some things into action, because I really do think that this is where the problem starts. I don't think you control individual dogs. There's just too many of them, but you might be able to control some form of breeding. But it would definitely be a process. You know. So anyways, thanks for listening to the rant. Sorry you hear my kids screaming in the background. It's wild out here sometimes, but thank you for listening to the rant. You know, let me know what you guys think. You know, I might go through and actually read these comments and see what you guys actually think about controlling breeding. You know, having there be some kind of control in the breeding world, because so many people don't understand the science of breeding, and they're just contributing to health issues, and you know, it's just no good for anybody, really. So, let me know what you guys think. Right now, I'm gonna get back to work. That's it. Subscribe. Take care, YouTube. Lastly, I forgot, guys. Coming soon, I'm going to release a video on selective line breeding. Basically, I'm going to show you how these dogs start to take shape. Really show you how it's done, how we pull the traits out of certain dogs that we want, and how we keep those traits and keep those traits strong. Obviously, I'm not going to give you every secret to the trade, but I want to really kind of explain it to people, because I know the knowledge in this subject is so little, it's actually scary. So I want to start to show people where these dogs come from. For the people, of all breeds that don't understand about selective line breeding and how you can make a dog look a certain way through generations of knowing what you're doing. So basically, stay tuned for that. Again, thanks for watching my channel. Subscribe. Tell a friend, tell them to subscribe. All right, guys, take care. I'm out of here.